Hey guys, it's Gigi here from Horses for Heaven, and today I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the methods that we use to get Dancer under saddle and maybe give you a few tips if you're starting your young horse. And just a little disclaimer here, I am by no means a professional horse trainer or anything like that. These are just tips that I gathered from my uncle who has started several young horses completely from being basically wild horses, and also my trainer, and she has actually trained a Mustang from the wild and lots of other horses, started them under saddle, and she's just a really accomplished horse person. Anyway, these are some of the tips that they gave us when we were starting Dancer out. And when we first got her, she had a lot of desensitizing, and she was saddle broken. She could take a saddle very nicely, but as for getting a rider on her back, no one had been on her, so it was completely new to her. But one method that my uncle uses a lot is the grain bag method, which is where you use a grain bag and you just throw it over their back with a saddle to keep them used to weight, which works for a lot of horses. But for her specifically, it was one of those things where she just would not take the grain bag. She was terrified of it, but we did desensitize her to grain bags. But it wasn't one of those things that was helpful. You want, when you're training your young horse to take a rider, you want to keep everything as calm and just nice and comfortable for them as possible to make it a good experience. And we could just tell that the grain bag was not going to be a good experience for her. So we decided to just put some weight in the stirrup, since she had already had some training with just putting her hand in the stirrup to just get her weight used to some of the weight in the saddle. So I did not. My uncle and my daddy did too. They would put their foot in the stirrup and just stand up in it, and then kind of lay across her and reach across to her other side and just scratch her neck, scratch her shoulder on the opposite side. And they just did that a ton of times, and eventually she was completely fine with that. She was really calm and good. So then they would just get on her and sit, and that's all they would do, just sit there. And so he would be holding Dancer, and she was fine. And we just feed her treats, tell her she was a good girl. And that was a really good way that we found worked for her to really make it a positive experience for her, because she loves treats. So it really worked out for her. But then after that, the next step we really had a hard time with, because since she's an Arabian, she's very energetic, but she's also really smart. So she gets bored easily. So she would get bored standing there, and usually horses will just wander off and be like, oh, I'm walking now, there's a person on my back, that's okay. But she got a little nervous when someone was on her back and she was walking off. So we talked to our trainer, and she helped us figure out a plan to help teach her how to walk without actually squeezing her or leading her forward, because she would get really nervous. So we walked her without a rider in a pattern where, say, in our round pen, we had 4 stopping points. We would set up 4 buckets, or set up 2 buckets and then stop in between them 2. And we would just walk, stop, walk, stop, walk, stop. And that works great without a rider, and then the horse knows the pattern. You're feeding treats every time you stop. And then you just put a rider on, and there you go. That's how we taught her how to walk. I hope this was helpful and that you might be able to use some of these tips to help start your young horse. Have a good day.